Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
Milk is a common food that people drink all over the world. For a very long time, milk has been considered a healthy and important part of our diet, helping us grow strong bones. But in recent years, some people have started to question if all milk is equally good for us. There might be a hidden secret inside the milk we buy from the store. This secret is connected to a part of the milk called protein, specifically a protein named beta-casein. Many thousands of years ago, there was a natural change, like a small mistake, in the genes of some cows in Europe. This change affected the beta-casein protein. Before this change, all cows had the original form of this protein, which we now call A2 beta-casein, or just A2. After the change, some cows started to produce a slightly different version, called A1 beta-casein, or A1. Today, most cows in places like Europe, America, and Australia produce milk that is a mix of A1 and A2 protein, with A1 being the main type. Milk from older types of cows, and also from animals like goats and sheep, is mostly A2 type. Scientists have studied how our bodies digest these two types of protein. They discovered something interesting. When our bodies break down the A1 protein from milk, they can create a small piece called beta-casomorphin 7. People often call this simply BCM7. This BCM7 is not made, or is made in very tiny amounts when we digest the A2 protein. Some researchers and doctors believe that this BCM7 substance might be linked to many health problems in modern society. They suggest connections to serious issues like heart disease. They also point to possible links with conditions like type 1 diabetes and problems that affect the brain, such as autism. Digestive problems that many people experience after drinking milk might also be related to BCM7, even if they are not lactose intolerant. This story will explore this idea that BCM7, released from A1 milk, could be a cause of these health issues. We will look at the science and the evidence that supports this theory. We will also see why this idea is a topic of much discussion and disagreement. The goal is to understand if the type of milk we drink matters more than we thought. It is a question with important answers for our health. 2. The two types of milk. Milk has important parts inside, like fat, sugar, and protein. A main protein in milk is called beta-casein. Long ago, many thousands of years past, there was only one type of beta-casein. It is now called A2 beta-casein. It was the first, original type. But a small change happened in the plan for this protein in some cows. This small change is called a genetic mutation. It changed just one small piece of the protein in one spot. This change created a new type of protein, called A1 beta-casein. Today, milk from many cow breeds in Europe and in countries where these cows were taken has a lot of A1 beta-casein. You can find A1 beta-casein in much of the milk sold in shops. It is the protein that changed from the first type. The original protein, A2 beta-casein, is still found in milk from some other cow breeds, like certain types in Asia and Africa. Also, milk from other animals like goats and sheep, and milk from humans, has beta-casein that is very similar to A2. When a person drinks milk that has A1 beta-casein, their body's system for eating and using food works on the protein. During this work, the A1 protein can break apart in a special way. This lets go of a substance called beta-casemorphin 7, or BCM7 for short. BCM7 is a small piece of protein. It is known to be quite powerful in the body. Scientists say it acts like a substance that can affect feelings or pain, similar to some medicines. They call it an opioid-like peptide. The main reason for the difference between A1 and A2 protein is at a place called position 67 in the protein chain. In A2 beta-casein, there is a part called proline at position 67. This proline helps hold the protein chain together strongly at that spot. But in A1 beta-casein, there is a different part called histidine at position 67. This histidine lets the body break the protein chain more easily at that exact spot during digestion. This is why A1 protein can release BCM7, but A2 protein does not release much BCM7. So when you drink milk with A2 protein, like pure A2 cow's milk, or milk from goats, sheep, or humans, your body does not make this specific BCM7 substance in the same way it does from A1 milk. Studies suggest that BCM7 can affect how the body works. For example, it might slow down how food moves through the stomach and intestines. This could possibly cause some people to feel uncomfortable or have problems with their stomach. Some scientists think that BCM7 can even pass from the digestive system into the blood. They believe this might happen more easily if the wall of the intestine is not completely healthy. This condition is sometimes called leaky gut. If BCM7 gets into the blood, some animal studies show it might be able to travel to other parts of the body and cause effects there. So, the simple difference between the A1 and A2 milk proteins is seen as very important. One type, A1, can create the substance BCM7 when digested, while the other type, A2, does not. This is the main idea about why these two types of milk might have different effects on health. 3. Milk and your heart. Scientists looked at health information from different countries around the world. They wanted to understand why some diseases were more common in some places. They started to see a pattern with heart problems. This kind of heart problem affects the tubes that carry blood to the heart. It can be a serious health issue. The scientists thought about what might cause these different rates of heart problems in different countries. They looked at what people ate and drank. They began to see a possible link to milk. Specifically, they looked at the two types of milk protein, A1 and A2, which we talked about before. Countries where people drank milk that had a lot of the A1 protein seemed to have more cases of heart problems. In countries where the cows mostly produced milk with the A2 protein, the rates of heart problems seemed lower. For example, countries like France, where cows often produce A2 milk, had lower rates of these issues compared to some other countries. To understand this possible link better, scientists did studies. One important study was done using animals, specifically rabbits. Rabbits are sometimes used in studies about heart health. In this study, some rabbits were given the A1 protein and other rabbits were given the A2 protein. The scientists watched what happened inside the rabbits' bodies. They found something important. In the rabbits that were given the A1 protein, fatty material started to build up inside their main blood tubes, called arteries. These fatty areas are sometimes called plaques. But in the rabbits that were given the A2 protein, this fatty buildup did not happen, or it was much less. This study suggested that the A1 protein, but not the A2 protein, might cause damage that leads to fatty buildup in blood tubes. Based on these findings and other research, scientists developed a theory. They believe that when people drink A1 milk, their bodies make a small piece from the A1 protein called BCM7. We learned about BCM7 in the last chapter. This BCM7 peptide, they think, might be a reason for the link to heart problems. The theory is that BCM7 can be like something that causes damage to the body's cells, including the cells in the blood tubes or arteries. This damage could make it easier for fatty material to stick to the walls of the arteries. Over time, this fatty buildup can make the arteries narrower and lead to heart problems. So, the idea is that the BCM7 from A1 milk acts in a way that can hurt our arteries and contribute to heart disease. 4. Milk and diabetes. Scientists also looked at a possible link between milk and type 1 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is a serious health problem, especially for children. It is a disease where the body's system that fights sickness attacks cells that make sugar control medicine. Scientists think something in the environment can trigger this in some people. Again, studies looked at large groups of people in different countries. They compared how much A1 milk was drunk in a country and how many children there got type 1 diabetes. These studies found a strong connection. Countries where people drank more A1 milk often had more children with type 1 diabetes. This link was important, but it was not proof. So animal studies were done. In one early study, scientists gave A1 milk protein to mice that could easily get diabetes. Other mice got A2 milk protein. The results were very clear. Many of the mice that ate A1 protein got diabetes, but none of the mice that ate A2 protein got diabetes. This suggested that A1 milk might cause the problem, but A2 milk did not. Later, a larger and more complex study was done with animals. Many scientists worked on this study. Money for this study came from the dairy industry. When this study was finished, it was used by some people to say that there was no strong link between A1 milk and diabetes. However, there was a big problem with this later study. The food given to some animals in the study was an infant formula. This formula was later found to have beta-casomorphin 7 in it. Beta-casomorphin 7 is the small piece that comes from A1 milk protein when it is digested. So the food given to some animals, even those meant to get only A2 protein, was already contaminated with beta-casomorphin 7. The scientists who wrote the main report about this study did not tell anyone about this contamination. They knew about it, but it was not in the public report. This made the study's results confusing and hard to trust. It was difficult to see the true effect of A1 and A2 milk when one of the control foods already had the possibly harmful part in it. When you look closely at the parts of the study that were not affected by this contamination, there is still some evidence that supports the earlier findings. For example, in one part of this study, Animals given AON protein still showed a higher rate of diabetes than those given ATWO protein. But because the contamination was not shared, the study was used to argue against the link. This part of the story shows how hidden details can affect scientific understanding and public information. 5. Milk and your brain. Can the milk we drink affect our brain? Some scientists think there might be a link between milk and problems with the brain, like autism or schizophrenia. Our bodies break down food into smaller pieces. Sometimes small pieces of protein called peptides can go from our stomach and intestines into our blood. This can happen if the wall of the intestine is not very strong. People sometimes call this a leaky gut. If the gut is leaky, these peptides can travel in the blood. We learned before that A1 milk makes a special peptide called BCM7 when we digest it. The theory is that BCM7 is one of the peptides that can pass through a leaky gut. Once BCM7 is in the blood, it can go to the brain. Scientists say BCM7 acts a bit like a strong medicine that changes how the brain works. It is called an opioid peptide. Because it acts this way, some scientists believe BCM7 from A1 milk might be connected to conditions like autism and schizophrenia. They think it might affect how the brain develops or works in some people. There are reports from parents who say that if their children with autism stop eating foods with milk protein, casein, or gluten from grains, their symptoms get better. This suggests that for some people, these food parts might be causing problems. Some studies on animals have also looked at this idea. When scientists gave BCM7 to certain animals, they saw changes in their behavior. The changes were sometimes like symptoms seen in people with autism or schizophrenia. There was a big dairy company that once asked for special papers, like a patent, for something new. These papers talked about A1 milk and problems with the brain. The company wrote that A1 milk might make some brain problems worse, like autism. But later, this big company stopped asking for these papers. The information from their own research was not published for everyone to see. The link between A1 milk and brain conditions is still a subject that scientists study. The idea is that for some people, especially those with a leaky gut, the BCM7 from A1 milk could be a problem for the brain. It is part of the bigger story about how milk might affect our health in different ways. More research is needed to fully understand this complex connection. For now, it remains a theory explored by some scientists and doctors. 6. Other health problems. Many people feel unwell after drinking milk, even if tests for lactose intolerance are negative. They might have gas, bloating, stomach pain, or problems like a runny nose or feeling congested. The book suggests that the A1 protein in milk could be causing these symptoms for many individuals. When our bodies digest milk that contains the A1 protein, they can produce a substance called BCM7. Research mentioned in the book shows that this BCM7 can make food move more slowly through the gut. It can also cause the body to create more mucus. These effects might explain why some people experience digestive problems or feel congested after drinking milk that contains the A1 protein, even if they do not have issues with lactose itself. The possible connections between A1 milk and BCM7 may extend to other health problems beyond simple intolerance. The book looks at potential links to conditions like sudden infant death syndrome, known as SIDS. This idea is based on studies that found BCM7 can affect breathing in young animals. Also, babies' bodies might let BCM7 pass into the blood more easily than adults, potentially increasing their risk. Scientists also investigate links between A1 milk and BCM7 to various autoimmune diseases. These are illnesses where the body's defense system mistakenly attacks its own healthy parts. Some serious gut problems, like certain inflammatory bowel diseases and other significant conditions, including some neurological disorders or diseases affecting the body's nervous system, are also discussed in the book as having possible connections to A1 milk and BCM7. This wide range of potential problems highlights BCM7 as a suspect involved in various body systems. How can BCM7, which comes from milk digested in the gut, cause problems in different parts of the body, far from the digestive system? A key idea is called the leaky gut theory. This means that the wall of the gut, which normally acts as a strong barrier, can sometimes become more open or permeable. When this happens, substances like BCM7 can pass through the gut wall and get into the bloodstream. Once in the blood, BCM7 can travel to other areas of the body and may influence various systems, potentially playing a role in different health problems experienced by individuals. Therefore, the A1 protein, through the BCM7 it releases upon digestion, is seen as a potential factor not just in common milk discomforts, but possibly in a range of other health issues. For people who experience problems with regular milk containing A1 protein, switching to A2 milk, which creates very little BCM7, might help them avoid these symptoms and potential risks associated with BCM7 absorption. 7. The big fight. Getting A2 milk to the public was a big fight. It was not easy for A2 Corporation, a small company that wanted to sell this different milk. The big dairy companies did not like this new idea. They were very strong and had a lot of money. They were afraid. They thought that if people heard bad things about A1 milk, they would stop buying milk completely. This could hurt their business a lot, so the big companies fought against A2 Corporation. A2 Corporation faced many problems. The people who started the company went to court many times. There were legal battles. News and television sometimes wrote bad stories about them. They also went through sad times. Important people in the company died. These personal tragedies made things even harder for the small company. The fight also involved government groups that look after food safety. In New Zealand, there is a group called the New Zealand Food Safety Authority, or NZFSA. They looked at the science about A1 and A2 milk. They asked a scientist to write a report about it. But when the report was finished, the NZFSA changed it before showing it to everyone. They took out a part that was a simple summary. This summary said that the idea about A1 milk causing health problems was important and that scientists should study it more. The NZFSA took it out. They said the report's tone was not right for their public message. They wanted people to think there was no big health problem with milk. They said things like, There is no food safety issue with milk. This made it sound like everything was completely fine. The big dairy companies used this. They said the science was not real or important because the government group said so. It was a difficult battle for A2 Corporation to share their story and get people to understand the difference between the milk types. This chapter shows how difficult it was to bring new information and a new product to the market when powerful businesses and even some government actions were against it. It was a long and hard fight. 8. What does it all mean? What does everything we have learned mean about the milk we drink every day? We have looked at different types of information to understand the A1 and A2 story. Studies in many countries showed a possible link between how much A1 milk people drank and the rate of certain diseases, like heart problems or a type of diabetes. Tests on animals like rabbits and rats showed different health effects when they were given milk proteins. Scientists studied how the body digests A1 milk. They found that it creates a small part called BCM7. They looked at how this BCM7 might act like a mild drug or oxidant in the body, possibly causing damage or affecting how organs work. This evidence suggests there could be a connection between A1 milk and some health issues. However, many scientists and people in the milk industry say that the current evidence is not enough. They agree there might be a link seen in studies, but they argue this does not definitively prove that drinking A1 milk causes these health problems in people. They ask for more strong scientific studies, especially long-term tests done directly with groups of people before changing public health advice. The person who wrote this story thinks the difficulty in getting a clear answer shows something important. It shows how big business interests and government policies can sometimes make it hard to get clear scientific information about health issues to everyone. The author feels that the needs of a large industry can influence how research is done and shared. Even though the debate is still going on and not everyone agrees, some milk companies have quietly started to make changes. They are slowly working to convert their dairy herds. They want more of their cows to be the type that naturally produces only A2 milk. But the scientific discussion and the public talk about the differences between A1 and A2 milk are still very active today. What do you think now after learning about this controversy? After hearing about the A1 and A2 controversy, has your view on milk changed?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.